Adams, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
One person, took on the Democrats and their evil, sinister ways. And this one person proved she is a very shining star. I'm talking about Amy Coney Barrett. Wow, is she ever good and highly qualified to be on the Supreme Court. Here comes Kate Smith, and God Bless America, followed by a Patriot with our Pledge of Allegiance this morning on a Wednesday. Good morning. And good morning to you, all of you out there in Radio Land. Zeb at the Ranch. I'm Zeb Bell with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations serving you not only with the best in tires, but also the best in brake service, front end alignments. The list goes on and on. Stop in and see them today. Safe, clean environment, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. And, of course, Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. I hope we've got a Patriot on the line. Good morning. Whoa.
Morning, Zeb.
I think you just cleared my sinuses and everything else out.
Mine too, boy. It come over mine also.
Woo.
Anyway, I was watching a little bit of that.
Whoa. No. Doug, can't do that. Got to have the pledge.
Oh, the pledge. All right. Yeah. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'm going to have you call back in a few minutes, Doug. I appreciate it all, buddy. Thank you very much. That's the way to kick things off. Right now, let's go to the weather forecast, and it's brought to everybody by K&R Rental. Hello, good morning, Roger, and the rest of his great staff right there on the Burley Paul Highway at 256 South, 600 west of Hayburn. I keep telling you every day that they've got all the tools and equipment for you to get ready for, I hate to say this word, winter. Yeah, all your projects. I mean, all the tools and equipment for both long and short-term rental. You be sure and stop in or give them a call today. If you have questions, call them at 678-3122, K&R Rental. Right now, here's Gina with the forecast.
Wind advisory for today, frost advisory for the next couple of evenings. Here's a look at your weather forecast. We are going to be in that wind advisory for today. Plus, there's going to be areas of patchy blowing dust, mostly sunny skies. Winds are going to be out of the west, steady at about 25 miles an hour. Gusts as high as 40 miles an hour. We are expecting a high of 56. For tonight, that wind and patchy blowing dust is going to continue, partly cloudy skies. And we're going to be in a frost advisory, low of about 32. For tomorrow, looks like mostly sunny skies with a high of 53. That wind is still going to continue, but coming down just a little bit. Still going to be in that frost advisory for tomorrow night with a low of about 29. Then by Friday, looks like sunny skies and a high of 52. That's a look at your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
Thank you, Gina. Always a great comprehensive forecast. She does a wonderful job. Thank you. K&R Rental at 256 South, 600 west of Hayburn. I'm not exaggerating. They've got all the tools you need to finish any kind of a task. I mean, their front yard is just chock full of all the equipment and tools. And then go on inside, talk to Roger. They can help you out. K&R Rental. The number to call, 678-3122. They're right there on the Burley Paul Highway. Want to remind you, too, about our other friends that absolutely have been with us for a long, long time. And that's Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. And, you know, it's not an exaggeration at all. They literally have all your heating, cooling, and electrical needs at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. And they open up at 7:30 to 5 Monday through Friday. They've got all the experience. They've got the best of people. They've got the best of all products. You get a hold of them. They can help you, and they will, at Ramsey Heating and Electric. Number to call, 678-0459. Caller, a good morning to you.
Good morning, sir. Did you ever try to put the cart in front of the horse?
Well, you had me confused.
Well, I was confused, too. I was so happy yesterday watching that a little bit, what I could, of the SCOTUS, the Amy Coney Barrett's confirmation hearing.
Oh, yeah.
And it reminded me of people with a low 2-digit IQ trying to outsmart a person with a high 3-digit IQ.
Well, I don't think it's at all out of the norm right now this morning to say that Amy Coney Barrett is the sharpest knife in the drawer, and she cut the foolishness of the Democrats like melted butter.
Exactly. That woman, no wonder she graduated first in her class at Notre Dame. No wonder she's well-liked as a legal professor at Notre Dame.
You know, there's something else, too, though, Doug. And I know you caught this, and it's been brought up by some of the newscasters on Fox News. The other stations, of course, won't say anything. But she never took any notes. She didn't have any notes. She didn't have any books of reference. She didn't have anything except a plain white notepad from the United States Senate, and there was nothing on it.
Exactly. Yep, that gal is brilliant. If she doesn't get on the court, the American people are going to be worse off for this, because this woman should be there, because she likes to say she's not going to be a Judge Scalia, but she's going to be a Judge Barrett. And she reads the Constitution and interprets it as written.
Did you notice, and I know I've got another caller stand by, but did you notice her demeanor? This is really important to talk about. She never, ever took her eyes off of the person that was directing questioning, if they asked a question, to her. She never took her eyes off of them. And to sit there for 8 hours plus, I mean, she must be tougher than nails.
Yes, and I got to hand it to her and her husband for the way they've raised their children.
Oh, boy.
Those children were the best behaved children I think I have seen in a long time.
Did they move, or were they like at the baseball games, cardboard cutouts?
They were perfect.
I tell you what.
I mean, and Judge Barrett did not do any facial expressions when some politicians went way off the deep end and asked the stupidest question I think you could ever think of.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that.
No expressions, no nothing.
Yeah, we're going to talk about some of the stupidity that was shown by the Democrats. Doug, I got another one waiting, my old buddy. Thank you for doing some things in reverse order this morning that got my attention.
Hey, everybody, let's do what we can for our senior centers. I know I'm like a broken record, but they need our help. They built this country that we enjoy right now, so let's support them and go eat there and leave with a full tummy and a full heart.
There you go, buddy. Thank you very much. Caller number 2, I'll be right there, I promise. Denny's Restaurant at 611 North Overland in Burley. That's all you need to know. Denny's Restaurant, 611 North Overland in Burley. Delicious food. Oh, all the menu choices, whether it's breakfast, lunch, dinner, desserts, anytime, all the time. I'm telling you what, you're going to really be in for a treat at America's Diner. And they've got another location, too, at 291 Pole Line Road in Twin Falls. Denny's Restaurant. It's true. It's America's Diner. And with the wonderful people serving you, you're going to really enjoy your eating experience at Denny's Restaurant. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Brad.
Yes, sir.
And a good morning to Deanna. She's doing well.
She's doing very well. As a matter of fact, she's sitting about 10 feet away from me, catching up on some bookwork on the computer. So she's doing really, really good.
She's truly what you call an appendage, right?
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm sure you feel the same way about Nancy, that it's just absolutely unthinkable to be without your right-hand girl Friday.
Yeah. Zeb, would you ever go to the grocery store without taking your list with you?
I have many times.
Yes. And you suddenly remember it after you get back home.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Well, let's take this Amy Coney Barrett, who does not take a single note. This woman is what I would call, brilliant. She is very brilliant and very focused, and I think she's the best nominee I've ever seen on TV.
I can't argue that.
To learn more about her.
Yeah, I can't argue that. I've never seen anybody that can sit there and keep her eye contact on the questioner and recite chapter and verse of how she wrote a certain opinion about a certain case 10, 12, 13, 15 years ago and keep her focus right there in the eyes of the questioner. This woman is amazing.
I would say so. I would say that she is probably one of the best nominees we've ever had for the Supreme Court.
Well, that's what Doug said a minute ago. And I have to concur. I think that she is heads and shoulders above many in my lifetime that I've ever witnessed be on trial, if you will, by the senators asking questions. Oh, she is sharp. I appreciate that.
She's almost looking beyond the eyes of the person that is questioning her. That's a little bit scary, because, and as far as her note-taking, I can't even remember what I had for breakfast, and I have the same thing every day.
All right, Keith, I got to run. I got another call waiting, but I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Have a good day.
Have a wonderful day.
All right, sir. Bye. Caller, I'll be right there. And again, I want to apologize to my audience again. Occasionally, right on cue, I'm going to cough. And I do this every year during harvest season with the dust, and I don't know what it is, but it sure gets me. Don't forget our friends at Dino's Septic Service. Septic tank pumping, septic tanks and drain fields installed. Oh, my goodness, sewer and sink drain lines clean. Liquid waste removal. Ooh, they do it, and they do it so well. They are extremely good and very fast, fare-friendly service. Dino's Septic Service with the latest of equipment. Please call them in Rupert area 436-6526 or in Burley 678-1638 and of course in the Twin area, hello Twin area, 735-8281. Dino's Septic Service, absolutely the best. Caller, you're on the air. Good morning.
Hello, Zeb.
Yes, sir. Go ahead, Jerry.
Yes, I was listening to that yesterday, and that new Democrat vice president candidate was telling that judge that Roe versus Wade was part of the Constitution. I about fell out of my chair.
Yeah.
I could not believe that woman could be that stupid.
Oh, I can believe it.
She has to be out of her head.
Well, Kamala Harris, and did you notice she tried the same ploy with Amy Coney Barrett yesterday as she did with Mike Pence during their debate? She asked a question. She asked this judge a question. And before the judge could really start with a response, she interrupted, and then she said, I'm speaking. And I thought, you know what? You are the most rude, crude woman I have ever witnessed on television.
Well, anybody that is dumb enough to make the statement that premeditated murder, and that's all abortion is, and these abortion clinics, they're murder clinics. They murder people. They absolutely torture torture and murder people. They're torture and murder clinics.
Well,
they are horrible. I cannot even... She lost me completely right there.
I agree with you, and I want to say thank you to you, Jerry, for your call, and I certainly hope you're feeling better, and God bless you. I got to rip through another commercial here before it gets too late. I got to be right on time, so thank you.
You do that, and you get another caller in there.
All right.
We need more people making comments.
All right, Jerry.
May the Lord bless.
He already has. Thank you, with dear friends like you. Want to remind everybody there's going to be another ripping good sale put on by the Bennett Boys Auction Service this coming Saturday, the 17th. Pat Pigeon Estate Sale over in Buell at 11 o'clock in the morning on Saturday. Applegate Retirement Estates off Clear Lakes Road. Can't miss it. Lunch by the Cook Shack. They're going to have a 20-foot flatbed tandem axle trailer along with, this is just highlighting some of the issues, generators, shop tools and supplies, furniture and household items, lawn and garden items, all kinds of antiques and collectibles, along with sports and outdoor equipment like a Proform treadmill, say that fast 5 times. All of this managed by the Bennett Boys Auction Service. The Pat Pigeon Estate Sale this Saturday in Buell at 11 o'clock. Look for the signs, and it's managed by Bennett Boys Auction Service. No sale too big, no sale too small. The Bennett Boys, yup, they sell them all. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Morning, that must be me.
Yes, sir.
Today at the Senior Center we have birthday and anniversary dinner, which consists of turkey dressing, mashed potatoes and gravy, green beans, and a yummy dessert.
Oh, my goodness, that does sound good. It's kind of a pre-Thanksgiving fest, is it not?
We have one every month.
All right. Joe, what about people that want to call ahead and have their lunch in a cardboard container so they can take it home? What do they do?
It's called 678. I call it every morning.
How about 678-8? Is it 8646?
That's right.
Okay.
You got it.
All right, Joe. God bless you, man. Thank you.
Thank you. And all you do.
You betcha, sir. Thank you. The Senior Center on Overland Avenue in Burley. Help those folks, please. You know, I sat there, and I didn't get a chance to see all of it. Naturally, the morning issue yesterday, I was on the air. And then at lunchtime, and I watched for about almost 2 hours. And then I caught the recap last night. It was still going on at supper time last night. I mean, holy cow, that poor woman sitting there. She's got to be so tough. 8 hours plus. And it was just absolutely amazing. She is an iron person. I mean that with respect. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yes, good morning, Zeb. I was watching that thing, and I was putting myself in the judge's mind. And from what I come up with, she says in her own mind, what am I doing here? Is this the best they can come up to for me? To throw at me?
You know...
And she had... The woman is iron.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
She is strong.
Doug said earlier, and I have to agree and concur, that there is absolutely no reason after day one of the stupid questioning by the Democrats and the stupid insinuations by the Democrats, there's no, if I was Lindsey Graham, I would have stood up and said, this is garbage, we're going to stop right now and take a vote, and we're going to get her elected into the Supreme Court. They are crucifying her for nothing. This woman is absolutely A++ and deserves a seat on the Supreme Court.
They are not going to break this woman. Take one look at her, look at her demeanor, look at all those stupid questions they're throwing at her, and she's just letting it roll off her back, and coming up with the answers that these people wish he didn't have it in them.
I agree. I'm going to talk about that a little bit more in just a second after I do another commercial, Tony, but God bless you and Mary, and the very best to you. I always appreciate your call. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
All right, buddy, thank you. Don't forget, on Mondays, we give away a dozen delicious, absolutely fantabulous cookies. Had to cough, pardon me, from Sophie's Chatterbox at 530 East Street, right on the square in Rupert. And if you're one of the lucky winners, you'll get a dozen cookies and you'll enjoy Sophie's Chatterbox. Great bakery and a fantastic restaurant. We really appreciate them. It was, and I agree with Tony and everybody else that's called in this morning, it was so unbelievably dumb that the Democrats acted in such a completely stupid manner with their questions. And I wrote many of these down yesterday, and I'm going to talk about them here in just a minute. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning. The Democrats will find something wrong with the way that she behaved, but that's not my original point. You know, these Democrats who are so for abortions, I think we need to stick them into a womb and then put them to the same treatment that they give those unborn babies, whether it's saline solution or vacuum or dismemberment or whatever, and see if it's really, because I read or heard that one of them says, well, they don't feel pain, and, you know, it's basically no consequences. It's no big deal.
You know, you're talking about a subject with me that you don't want to pull too many of my strings, because I will absolutely become volatile. I am not at all in favor of abortion in any way, shape, or form. And when the Democrats are trying to elongate the term where it could be legal in all 50 states to have full-term abortion, and they give me their garbage about, well, it doesn't feel pain, et cetera, don't go there. It's nothing more than murder.
Yeah, I watched an amniocentesis where the doctor put the needle in to get some fluid, and just as the needle poked through, the baby moved just right and then touched the baby, and that baby jumped.
Oh, my.
So you can't tell me that. And then when I was pregnant, I was working out in one of the plants, and I dropped a pallet, and it went boom, and let me tell you, my kid about came right out of my stomach.
It's just so unconscionable to me to think that we are living in a society that has developed a hemlock attitude of whether it's at birth or whether it's with seniors, life doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah, and that's why I say let's shove Nancy Pelosi and Joe Biden and that witch that's going for running for vice president. Let's shove them into a quote-unquote womb, and then do to them what they do to those unborn babies and say, well, you said it was no big deal, so live with it, die with it.
You know, you're a thinker, and you always come up with these things, and I appreciate and respect you for it. Thank you for your call this morning. I really do thank you. Nice lady right there, and she's a thinker. She's always got the wheels turning. I appreciate that. By the way, go vote. We, the people, have the civic obligation to choose our leadership. Be sure and vote for the candidate of your choice on November 3rd. This message paid by the re-elect District 27 Representative Fred Wood Committee, Steve Westfall, Treasurer. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, Deb. Well, I don't think God's very happy that we've allowed these evil, demonic people to take over our national news media and so forth, and especially abortion. I think the numbers since Roe versus Wade, the numbers are, I guess, 60 million. Or higher. It's higher than that, but I haven't. We look at what's happened in this country. George Mason said during the Constitutional Convention, he was a delegate from Virginia, he said that if this country stopped worshiping Jesus Christ as Lord of the land, then God, or these would say providence, God would punish us with natural calamities. And boy, we have been seeing
things throughout the country, and so the wrath of God is being poured upon us, and He's asking us to repent, to stop killing babies, and other evil practices that are going on. Satan's got control of so many people in their lives, and we've got to fight back, and this election is so important.
Well, okay, hold on, Adrian. Let me jump in here. A little bit.
Another, and this, we're going to be able to retain our senators, but we've got to be getting in touch with our friends in Colorado and other states that are, to make sure our Senate is intact, and hopefully our House as well. But George Soros and Warren Buffett and so forth, they're pumping billions of dollars into these elections. I think Lindsey Graham said he's been outspent about 4-1 in his state.
Yeah, I got to run, Adrian, and I've got another commercial I've got to get in here, but I want to agree and concur with you that in your remark about God in our lives, and I'm going to maintain this, and if anybody wants to arbitrate with me, they can call the program. We've got so far away from God and biblical principles and the Ten Commandments and the honoring of trying to serve the Lord and try to do good with our fellow man, that I think it's obvious that we better turn the bus around and go up the street the other way, because we're going the wrong way right now. I got to run, but I appreciate your comments.
Well, and this has been going on since 62 and 63, when the Earl Warren Supreme Court took prayer and Bible reading out of our public schools.
I agree.
It made a big difference. So
I agree.
Great days there.
All right.
But we all hands on deck.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate your call and your comment. Caller, I'm going to be right with you. Please do not hang up, do not pass go, do not collect $200, etc. Barrett Equipment and Rental, sales, service, and parts. I really, really want to tell you that they've got all the equipment, and you might not know how to run it, but don't worry about it. They've got a big sandbox out behind, and they'll teach you. For all the jobs of lifting and digging and pushing and carrying and grading and leveling, oh, yeah, they got all the bobcats. They've got all the shapes and sizes of the bobcats. They've got all the trenchers. They've got all the scissor lifts. They got all the big doos on wheel loaders and excavators. Super great financing rates to buy and wonderful lease programs. You better check it out right now today. Barrett Equipment and Rental in Burley at 159 West Highway 30, Twin Falls 465 Addison Avenue West, and the Nampa location for Barrett Equipment and Rental. Caller, good morning.
Morning, Zeb. I'm going to say something, and I don't want you to interrupt. I'm going to say that you are really one of the greatest talk show hosts that I've ever heard. And the reason why is because you're not interruptive. You look kindly upon everybody that calls you. A good example of that is this morning when Joe Taylor was trying to remember the number. Joe is in his late 90s, and you were very, very patient with him and came in just like it was part of the program. Now, there's not many people that can do that, but I commend you highly on your conduct on your radio show.
Oh, that means a lot, and I thank you for that. I really do, Keith. And, when you talk about Joe, there's a man that is a walking history of all that he's done, all that he's accomplished, all the adversity that he's overcome. He is blind, and you'd never know it. I mean, his abilities far exceed his inabilities, and I have the total respect for him.
Yes, I have known Joe personally for 16 years.
Oh, my. Well,
I was a delivery man for John Deere, and he was a John Deere man, and I used to talk to him every time when I went out there. And he was very courteous, and he's a good man still.
You got it. Keith, that's very kind of you, and thank you for your call back. God bless you. I appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
All right, sir. Thank you much. I want to tell you some of the comments And I just couldn't believe that these senators that were sitting in that room yesterday waiting for a chance to be extremely theatrical because they knew they were on national and worldwide television, how they could be so basically dumb. Now, let's take a look at this. Senator Whitehouse sat there and never once asked Amy Coney Barrett a question. He went into a 20-minute diatribe all about him, all about his thoughts, and never once asked Amy Coney Barrett anything to respond. She sat there and looked at this guy for over 20 minutes. It was ridiculous. Then we had Amy Klobuchar from Minnesota. Oh, my goodness. She started relating a silly tracks. I'm talking about tracks like in the snow, in the mud, whatever. A tracks story. And she went on, and then she ended it by saying, oh, I think the tracks are showing us that you probably should not be a Supreme Court justice. I mean, it was so ridiculous. And then enter via the computer Kamala Harris, who asked a question. I said this a little bit earlier. She asked a question of Amy Coney Barrett and paused, and Amy Coney Barrett started answering the question, and then Kamala pulled her stunt like she did with Mike Pence. I'm speaking. Oh, but the worst, the absolute worst of the worst came right out of the Hawaiian senator's mouth, and that was Hawaii's Mazie Hirono. There is no way that I have any respect for this woman to any degree. None. I think she's pitiful. She came out with questions that were so absolutely frivolously stupid, and she asked Amy Coney Barrett if she was ever a sexual predator or had ever been charged. Let that soak through the sponge a little bit. With her children and family sitting in that hearing room and completely coming out of left field with this dunce cap statement, have you ever been a sexual predator or have you ever been charged? Where did that come from? You could hear a total braying of jackasses on the Democratic side. Folks, there's no reason ever to go from a line of questioning, whether it's on abortion or whether it's in regards to other cases, the Affordable Care Act, whatever, to have a stupid, and she is, one of the dumbest women I've ever heard in my life, Mazie Hirono ask a question of, in front of the children and everything, have you ever been a sexual predator or ever been charged? America's disrespect for the Democrats, I think, should have been swelled to overflowing. They are dumb, they are rude, and do not deserve to be in public office. Okay, your calls. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. And at the same time, it should be said that Amy Coney Barrett never once looked away from the questioners, even in this stupidity shown by Mazie Hirono of Hawaii. She is a person, speaking of Amy Coney Barrett, of extremely high class. Calls welcome. I'd like a Democrat, and you won't find them here with any real muscle or strength of character to call into this program. I'd like a Democrat to defend, if they could, that line of stupid, asinine, and revolting questioning. But they won't. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give me a call. Love to hear from you. By the way, something else that was really interesting yesterday, and I've got the complete coverage of the interview on tape for my own possession. It's on my smartphone. But did you happen to catch the CNN interviewer, Wolf Blitzer, get into a little tissy fit with Nancy Pelosi? Oh, it was outstanding. I got to say this for Wolf Blitzer. I don't like the man. I don't like the way he conducts his interviews. I don't like CNN. But, there's a caveat. He did, excuse me, an outstanding job in being very poignant and very straightforward with questioning to the Speaker of the House, Pelosi. He asked her in a very subtle tone why she would not work with the President Trump on the COVID relief bill and get something started now for the people that were in dire need of it. Oh, my. Sweet little Botox Nancy went off on Wolf Blitzer, and it was like the Alamo and Custer's Last Stand, all revisited. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Did you ever notice that in the Democrats, when they're backed into a corner, they will keep saying the same thing 3, 4, 5, 6 times, the same thing, and they're doing this because they're trying to think of, what did I do wrong, what did I do wrong, and they just leave their mouth running.
Well, yeah,
their mind's working in a different direction.
Yeah, but Keith, that wasn't the case with this Mazie Hirono and her stupidity with what her questions were for Mrs. Barrett. There was no line or rhyme or reason as to why the questioning to our very possibly next Supreme Court justice had to go in that filthy direction. I mean, what would you think if you were one of the kids sitting there and all of a sudden a senator, a very dumb senator like Hirono, asked your mother, oh, have you ever been charged with sexual assault or been charged as a sexual predator? Where did that come from, Keith?
I don't know, but she should be censored for her conduct by her own group of idiots.
Censored? Heck, she should have been thrown out of the hearing room. I have no use for that woman. She's totally stupid.
Well, it should not have been broadcast on TV.
Well, there was no reason for that line of questioning. Here we're looking at a mother of 7 children. And of those 7, 2 were adopted. Her and her husband have been married for many, many years. They work together as a team. She's done an outstanding job in the legal profession. And to turn the questioning into a sleaze and gutter type question, Mazie Hirono should be thrown out of the Senate.
Well, it's the same thing they did with the questioning on our last one to come before.
Yeah, I know, with Kavanaugh, but this one was absolutely out of left field. It was like watching a bird land out in the outfield and then all of a sudden take off again. Where did that come from? I mean, it was ridiculous. Keith, I appreciate your call. I got to get the weather forecast on.
It was totally unwarranted.
Absolutely. Like I said, the Democrats are a bunch of brain jackasses. Thank you very much, Keith. Appreciate it. Now that I've got that off my chest, I feel so much better. But the offer is extended, and I mean this. And I've said this so many times on the program, it's old hat, that if members of the left, members of the Democratic Party, locally, statewide, whatever, want to call and come on this program, you will be welcomed. You will be treated professionally, and we will arbitrate. But as of yet, after all these years, none had the backbone. Let's go to the weather forecast right now. And with hearing loss, you could also be risking cognitive decline. I mean, hearing is really closely tied to brain health, and if you're noticing any kind of a diminishment in your hearing, I urge you to get a hold of my friends at Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids for a hearing screening today. I'm telling you, they know what they're doing. They've got all the latest of practices and technology to serve you, and they've got a new location right behind the Minidoka County Hospital across from the emergency room. The number to call, 312-0957. Caller, I'll be right there. First of all, here's Gina with the weather.
Wind advisory for today, frost advisory for the next couple of evenings. Here's a look at your weather forecast. We are going to be in that wind advisory for today. Plus, there's going to be areas of patchy blowing dust, mostly sunny skies. Winds are going to be out of the west, steady at about 25 miles an hour. Gusts as high as 40 miles an hour. We are expecting a high of 56. For tonight, that wind and patchy blowing dust is going to continue, partly cloudy skies, and we're going to be in a frost advisory, low of about 32. For tomorrow, looks like mostly sunny skies with a high of 53. That wind is still going to continue, but calming down just a little bit. Still going to be in that frost advisory for tomorrow night with a low of about 29. Then by Friday, looks like sunny skies and a high of 52. That's a look at your weather for Zebeth Rand.
Thank you, Gina. Always well done. At Mount Harrison Audiology, they know that hearing loss can affect the entire person and the family, everything. So please call, make an appointment today at 312-0957. That number again, 312-0957. Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. Caller, you've been very patient. Thank you very much.
Morning. Yeah, Earl.
Hi, Earl.
Hi, Earl. On the Amy Barrett deal, I watched a little bit on it, and there was a professor from Notre Dame that was a teacher of hers that spoke about her, and this professor, at least partway through the season of going to school there, was ready to give the professor would have turned around and took a seat in front of this lady, this Amy Barrett. She is one sharp lady, and you want to say yes, ma'am, to her.
Absolutely. She shows, just by sitting in front of that hearing room, she shows so many things about her personality. She shows toughness. She shows compassion. She shows caring and love for her family. She shows concern for this great country, the United States of America. And she shows that she has the ability to look at law and look at lawful issues and make a very sound decision.
Amen to you on that, Zeb. That's pretty well the way I see it. And it doesn't take a lot of brains to see that and appreciate her for who she is, and her confirmation should go through smoothly.
I hope you're right. I can't see any reason why it wouldn't. All of this, Earl, I think you'll agree with me, is just nothing but balderdash. There's another word I'd like to use, but I can't on the radio. All it is time-consuming for theatrics for the left to try to get their 5 minutes of fame on television.
Absolutely right. The other thing I've been trying to come up with, and I'll come up with it, is a definition for the deep state, or those that are in, cleaning the marsh out or the swamp. I'm working on a definition for that, and that's all part of this. I mean, we've got to get to the truth and stay with the truth, not this in-between BS that's been going on for decades now, Zeb.
I totally agree with you. Thanks, Earl. The man on the mountain. Thank you, Earl. Appreciate it.
You bet.
All right, my friend. I got to tell you, I'm going to switch gears here a little bit because all of this runs into a political situation. Last night, I happened to catch a fantastic interview with sports writer Jason Whitlock. And Jason, former top collegiate football player, injured a knee and had to leave football, and he became a sports writer, and he does an outstanding job. And I've quoted him on my program many, many times about the status of sports in our society today. Well, last night he was talking about the NBA, the National Basketball Association. Now, this is a subject that all of us can listen to and understand. It's not just a sports story. He was explaining that the NBA is going under financially. They had the lowest, and I want to emphasize this, they had the lowest TV ratings ever in a championship series, and he said it's all true that right now the NBA, and his words were, can't draw flies. He said no one wants to buy a ticket. Nobody wants to watch it on TV because of the association and affiliation with the Black Lives Matter and the absolute in-your-face attitude. And since the NBA has shown more allegiance, and it's true, to China, because that's their biggest market, they have basically turned around and kicked dirt in the face of us here in the United States of America. I will not, and I want this to be emphasized, I will not talk about an NBA game on my program. I will not watch an NBA game on my program. And woe betide any college program that picks up with the same kind of garbage that the NBA is allowing. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
It's time for us to call our senators and representatives and tell them to eliminate any and every tax deduction that these teams get.
Oh, I think it's beyond time.
It is. And let them move their league and their people to China and go to work.
Well, let me ask you this, and Doug, give me your own dissertation. If it weren't for the NBA, and if it weren't for basketball in general, where would a barely getting out of high school alive senior with a lot of talent playing basketball like LeBron James, barely made it through high school, where would he be today?
Well, if the statistics stand true, he'd either be dead or in prison.
And that's really true. That's really true. And all of a sudden, go ahead.
Take all the kids that in the inner cities and that there that do not graduate high school, and later on in life, there's a bigger percentage of them wind up dead or in prison. Now, the ones that go and graduate high school and some education and, have a work ethic, have parents like Ben Carson or a mother like Ben Carson that pushes him, go out to be outstanding individuals.
Absolutely. Why would any of us that are lighter in skin complexion, like us Caucasians, why would we want to buy a ticket at $250, $350, $500, whatever it might be, to go to an NBA game and watch LeBron James, an avowed racist that has absolutely been downplaying the white race and saying that we're all honkies and that we're all inhibiting the blacks in this country? Why would we want to pay that kind of money to watch this guy?
I don't.
Me neither.
I won't buy any of their stuff they sell on. The NBA stuff they sell that the NBA gets money off of. I will not.
Well, and the same can be said, in fairness, to a lot of the NFL and also Major League Baseball. Professional sports better realize, and I think you'll agree with me, professional sports better realize what side of the bread the peanut butter's on, because pretty quick the American people are going to say, adios, amigo, we don't need you.
Exactly. And who's that guy that owns the Mavericks? I can't think.
Mark Cuban.
He would not denounce China for their inhumane practices and trying, where they imprison people who speak up against them.
Mark Cuban is...
I got a suggestion for him. Move your team to China.
Yeah.
And see how much freedom you have over there. See if you can go on the air and badmouth, gee, the leader of China and get away with it like you do here in America.
Boy, I tell you what, let's push for that, shall we? Let's organize a move to China for the Dallas Mavericks. I love that thought. Got to run, Doug. Thank you very much.
God bless.
All right. Hey, I want to tell you about our number one sponsor, our major sponsor, and that's your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Don't forget all 7 locations serving you. The weather is a-changing. Pretty quick, we're going to wake up and we're going to see angel dandruff on the ground. Oh, that means for slippery driving, etc. It's tire changing time right now, as you got to think about what's going to be happening over the next couple of months. It's going to get colder. The roads are going to get bad. You'd better be ready. And they can help you get ready at all 7 locations of your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Don't forget the very best of all your tires, brake service, front end alignment, shocks and struts, batteries that are very important. Don't forget James and Buell, Dan on Pole Line, Lane and Rupert, Mike and Jerome, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, the Twist family and Paul, and Trent on Overland in Burley. The best, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Got to run. The news is next. I'll be back in 7. You know, with that wind outside, it makes it really kind of chilly. 48 degrees outside the Zeb at the Ranch studio right now, and brought to you by our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations with the best in tires and a very safe, clean environment. And, of course, Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. Right now, this good word for Western Waste.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're all at the Georgia struggle. Western Waste Services, we care about our community, our resources, and this great land. Western Waste Services is lending a hand, always at Georgia struggle.
Oh my, let me tell you folks, if you are new to the area and you don't know what to do with your garbage, it's easy. Please just calm down, pick up a piece of paper and a pen, write this number down, 734-6969, 734-6969, Western Waste Services. They will be there like the Lone Ranger in Tonto to pick up your garbage. They are always at your disposal. Call them today, 734-6969. Want to also mention about our dear friends over at Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation. Holy moly, they've helped me. They can help you, and they will. All you have to do is make an appointment at 678-1191. That number again, 678-1191. And believe me, the very highly trained, highly educated, skilled physical therapists led by Nick Greenwell, they can help you recuperate from a surgery or maybe an accident, whatever. Please call them. They can help. 678-1191. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. One last word, and it's very important. You know, it's a part of life, and when we lose a loved one, believe me, everything is just in a tumultuous situation. So I urge you to remember the name Hanson Mortuary at 710 6th Street in Rupert with Joel Heward, his family, and his staff serving you. The number to call, I'll give you that right up front, 436-5636. Don't forget, they always provide the families they serve with the best possible support and comfort. And it goes without saying, upholding the highest ethical standards with unquestioned integrity. Remember, Hanson Mortuary at 710 6th Street in Rupert with Joel Heward, and Joel Heward also serving you and your family at Morrison Payne Funeral Home on East Main in Burley. Well, it's Wednesday. I look forward to Wednesday because I get a chance to talk to, I think I'll give him the nickname Cool Hand Luke. I mean, this guy is cool. Good morning, Dave Bego in Indianapolis, Indiana. How are you?
I'm fine, Mr. Lone Ranger. How are you doing?
Tonto's lost. He can't find his horse. Hey, I got to ask you, and Sean.
Respond to your name.
Well, I appreciate that. Just with all the mask wearing, I guess we could all be called the Lone Ranger. Sean, we got a little bit of feedback on this line, if you could help me, please. Dave, I think that one of the biggest farces that I've ever seen in my life is what's going on in the Senate hearing right now. Again, Sean, please cut back on the feed back just a little bit. Is what's going on in the Senate hearing room with Amy Coney Barrett. This woman is so superb, so smart, so sharp. She is making the Democrats look like burned out light bulbs.
Yes, she is, and she was on for 12 hours yesterday. That's just unbelievable.
Oh my!
But Kamala Harris was just ridiculous, and I think Amy just wrecked her, and in her questioning and all that kind. And she also countered the leading Dems' attempt to paint her as a right-wing extremist yesterday with poise. And, I think it was great. And then back to Kamala Harris, it looked like she needed a teleprompter the whole time. And that tells you something about who they are.
Well, let's be more specific about what was said. We talked about this in the first hour, and I want you to elaborate on it. Now, talking about Kamala Harris, she was asking a question of Mrs. Barrett. And typical to Kamala's form of always getting theatrical, she asked her a question, and there was a pause, and Amy Coney Barrett started to respond, and then all of a sudden, Kamala Harris interrupted and said, I'm speaking. She is one of the most low personalities that the Democrats have got, but I've got one worse in just a minute, but respond about Kamala Harris.
No, I agree with you 100%, and she's the most radical left-wing Democrat too, and they pointed that out in her voting over the years and stuff like that, and she just she's got a mindset that she's better than anybody else, and that shows up when she's on these programs.
The dumbest and the most crass and the most unprofessional statement that was made yesterday was by Hawaii's Senator Mazie Hirono. I said this in the first hour, and I'm going to say it again. She is the most low-class woman I have ever heard in my life, where she asked a question that had nothing, no context, nothing to do with the hearings at that point or any point, when she looked at Amy Coney Barrett and said, well, have you ever been a sexual predator, or have you ever been charged? In front of the woman's kids and everything, this question came from out of the blue. It was absolutely to the point where I thought the security guard should have come in and grabbed Mazie Hirono and throw her out of the Senate.
Yeah, it's sick. It really is. And, people come up with this kind of stuff. And, the American people need to step back as we get close to this election day and look at these people and realize that the people have been put in these places by the Democrats and the left wing, how sick they are, and you really don't want these type of people leading America.
I think it goes without saying that years and years ago, when they came up with the logo of the jackass for the Democratic Party, it is so fitting because they were just nothing but a bunch of braying jackasses yesterday.
Yeah, it was terrible. It really was, and. But I have to give Amy credit. She stayed very poised and very professional and did her job. And I think the Democrats at the end of the day are going to be bowing their heads and walking away.
Have you ever seen anybody, and I'm serious when I say this because I've watched a lot of these hearings and taken notes on a lot of these hearings. Number one, when the questioner was up there, like in the case of Senator Whitehouse, that guy spoke for 20 minutes. 20 minutes! And never asked her one question. And she had to sit there and listen to his diatribe, and she never took her eyes off of his eyes. And the eye contact and the professionalism, this woman is amazing.
Yeah, and that's the type of people you need to have in these positions. And, and I've said this before, Zeb, President Trump needs to be more like that when he's doing debates and stuff like that, because the American people will get more comfortable with him and who he is.
Well, let's talk a little bit about that. We're about 20 days away from the election. And I'm just going to state my case, and you can chime in and agree or disagree, but I think you can't change a leopard's spots, nor would I want him to change. President Trump is President Trump. He's got a personality that's his, and to be anything else would be a phony politician like he's fighting. That being said, if you don't like him because of his personality, you've got short-sightedness, because he's done a lot for this country. How would you respond?
Well, I agree with that, Zeb, but, he's got people on the line trying to decide which way they want to go. And we've seen him in other instances be very professional and do things very well. And I think he just needs to do that when he's in these debates and that, so that he doesn't, some of these American people watch it and who are on the line, they decide to go the other way. And because a lot of people, it's about how comfortable they are with the person. They may agree with what he's done and like what he's done, but if they're uncomfortable with his personality, that's another problem. And I think he just needs to do that.
I was absolutely shocked, and I want to get your reaction on this. Night before last, Donald Trump, just days away from getting out of Walter Reed Hospital with the supposed COVID-19, had a rally that was totally impromptu. I mean, they didn't have time to advertise it. They didn't have time to do any decoration, anything special whatsoever. And thousands upon thousands of people showed up. And when the camera panned over the auditorium and the people inside that auditorium, and then showed the amount of people that were walking 3, 4, 5 miles to get there, wow, that's impressive.
Oh, it truly is. And Biden doesn't have that support, but again, on the left, Zeb, and I've been through this, as I've mentioned in my book, all the tactics and agenda they use against you, and they're going to go out there and they're going to force people to vote certain ways in that, especially union members. And the other thing is why they want illegal immigrants in this country is because they get them to go vote, and they force them to vote for certain people, even though they're not registered voters. They get them through it, and these are the things that we got to watch out for, and we got to have more and more of the American people stand up and vote for Trump and take care of this country.
At the same time, Trump is having this amazing, huge rally. I mean, down in Florida, and then another one last night in Pennsylvania, et cetera. Wow. Here's old Joe Biden. And I got a picture right here in my hand that was shot by the press. And he's standing up at a podium outside of Toledo, Ohio, at a podium. And I'm counting, and I'm not exaggerating, I'm counting a total of 5 people. 5 people.
Yeah, I know. I know. And then he talks about stuff, and he just he loses his mind, and it's. But again, the far left and the Democrats, they progressives, all they want to do is get him elected, but they'll have other people run the country behind, beneath him and that, and that's what's going to happen. And I want to speak to this too. I've got a good friend here in Indianapolis. He's about 80 years old, and he sent me a email a couple of days ago, and it's about Nikita Khrushchev, and it says 60 years ago people said it will never happen. Well, it is happening. Hard to believe it was that long ago, and it looks from where now is coming true. Yes, Trump is trying to put the brakes on. Let's help. Just think back on what we have personally witnessed since 1959. Old Nikita told it like it was. All of us witnessed. Wake up, America. Khrushchev's message 61 years ago, a sobering reminder almost 60 years ago since Russia's Khrushchev delivered this message. Do you remember September 29th, 1959? This was his entire quote.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I'll just abbreviate. He says, your children's children will live under communism.
Yes.
You Americans are so gullible. No, you won't accept communism outright, but we will keep feeding you small doses of socialism until you will finally wake up and find you already have communism. We will not have to fight you. We will so weaken your economy until you will fall like overripe fruit into our hands. The democracy will cease to exist when you take away from those who are willing to work and give to those who would not.
Bingo.
And this was Khrushchev, and this is what's going on today. And when you think about it, Zeb, what the left are doing, and they want to give people free health care. They want to increase the poverty levels. They want to increase the debt. They want to take away our guns. They want welfare. They want to take control of it. They want to take control of education, what people are doing, and get rid of religion. And they want class warfare and divide the people. And that's what's going on today. And this is what Khrushchev said.
Well, it's true, and a quick short synopsis is that we'll take you over without having to fire a shot because you'll turn yourselves into socialism/communism, and that's exactly what's happening. And the thing that's going on...
What the Democrats and the far left and, of course, the unions want to do.
Absolutely. And the thing that's going on in this country right now that people can't understand because of the education system across the board is that we've taken away the incentive for people to use the talents that God has given us to go out and achieve and be the best we can be. I don't think you can argue that.
No, but I think you're 100% right, and that's what they want to do. They just want to get people down to a level and control them, and that's where this is all headed, and that's why we got to make sure that President Trump gets reelected and we keep the Senate this year.
Absolutely.
And, so I hope people will wake up and understand that, and they'll reelect President Trump and reelect all the senators, the Republican senators.
I got to tell you, though, Joe Biden's handlers, the people that work in his management staff for his campaign, these people must have to carry about 20 little rolls of Tums in their pocket because they must be eating those Tums all the time when Joe does speak because he must make them very nervous. He made a stupid remark yesterday, and I want you to relate to it. Here we go. He said, any American that says they're better off today probably shouldn't vote for me. Would you explain why he would be dumb enough to say that?
I know. He just missays things all the time, and that shows you that he's got a problem with dementia and other problems. And but again, Zeb, hopefully it hurts him. He doesn't get elected, but the left doesn't care. All they want to do is get him elected so they can control the country behind him.
Let me ask you this in regards to other things that are going on with Biden. And I don't know what your thoughts are on the various reports that's supposed to be out about our Attorney General Barr and about some of the other studies that are out that are going to possibly incriminate some of the left and many of the Obama administration. But it was brought out yesterday that Biden's son Hunter had, underline the word had, introduced Joe to a Burisma oil executive, and they had a special meeting together. Now, the reason I'm bringing this up is that Biden has emphatically denied that he ever had anything to do with Hunter Biden's business or any of the people he worked with, and now that's been found out to be a lie, and I think this thing's going to get a little down and dirty in the next couple of days.
Well, I think so, too, and I don't know if there was an article that came out today that is Biden's niece, she's being taken to court over selling drugs in Pennsylvania and stuff like that. And,
oh, my.
You look at his family history and his involvement in this stuff, the American people need to wake up to who he really is and what his real agenda is.
Absolutely. I want to shift gears, and I want to talk about a sport that you are and have been excellent at, and that's basketball. I don't know if you caught this or not last night, but I think Jason Whitlock, a sports columnist, and also he used to work for ESPN. He is one of the, if not the, most honest sports writers in America today. And he said that the NBA is going under financially with the lowest ratings ever for their championship series. And he said that right now, his words, the NBA can't draw flies. And the reason is because the NBA has shown more allegiance to China than they have the United States.
I know, it's sad, it really is. And, again, Zeb, we're coming back to the unions control the professional sports. All these guys in the NBA and the NFL and the Major League Baseball, they're all union guys, and behind the scenes, the unions are controlling this and trying to help bring down Trump and the Republicans in the Senate.
Yeah, but Dave, explain this to me, though. Let's stick with the NBA. Basketball, thanks to Michael Jordan and others in years gone by, really came to the forefront. And from the old days of the NBA to what it was like 10, 15 years ago with Jordan and other players, it really came onto television and to the younger generation. And, boy, they worshipped, whether it was Magic Johnson, whether it was Larry Bird, whether it was Michael Jordan. Those days are over. And when you have an activist that's also a racist, a avowed racist like LeBron James, it's going to kill the sport.
Yeah, you're right. It is. And, it's sad to see what's going on out there. And as I've told you before, there's a lot of people I know that don't want to go see, the NBA, and the NFL games or anything like that. They don't even want to watch them on TV. And these ones that are in the NFL that are getting down on their knees during the national anthem and that are terrible. And I want to tell you and your listeners, go look up a powerful piece written by Ted Nugent, and he really goes through it great. He talks about all of our people that defended this country and saved this country, back when the country first started, and, of course, in World War II and the beach in Normandy and Vietnam and just on down the lines and that. And he says, none of these things were there any cheerleaders or announcers or coaches or fans, just American men and women delivering the real fight against those who chose to harm us, blazing a path so you would have the right to take a knee. And you haven't any inkling what it took to get you where you are, but your protest is duly noted, and it's disgraceful. And the only really time you need to take a knee is come with me to church on Sunday, and we'll both take a knee before our Almighty God.
Amen. Amen. What a great way to wrap up this segment. Caller, I've got 30 seconds, real fast. You're on the air. Go. Caller, I'm waiting. Go ahead.
Yes, I just want to make a correction on something that was on the funeral notices.
Well, no, now, this is not the time, ma'am. I appreciate your call. Thank you. Call back and talk to the office. Dave, I appreciate your being on the program this morning, and I wish you the very best, and we'll look forward to having you back on next Wednesday.
Sounds good. You have a great day, and God bless America.
And I promise that we won't be interrupted with any funeral announcements. Thank you, Dave.
Okay, take care.
All right, thank you very much. I don't know where that one came from. I want to remind you about Denny's Restaurant, absolutely the best at 611 North Overland in Burley. Oh, my goodness sakes, they've got a great location, and Thomas and Michelle, the whole staff, always there to serve you with absolutely delicious food. Delicious food, whether it's breakfast, lunch, dinner, or desserts. Oh, my goodness, go in and take a look at that menu. You're going to go, how in the world do I pick from all these goodies? I'll tell you what, whether it's breakfast like I like, you got to try that strawberry crepes breakfast. Oh, delicious. Or all the skillets or the sandwiches and salads, it's all there at America's Diner, Denny's Restaurant, 611 North Overland in Burley. Really, really good people. I want to remind you, too, about going to vote. Go vote. I don't want any excuses. Take the time, take the effort to be a proud American. Go vote. We, the people, have the civic obligation to choose our leadership. Be sure and vote for the candidate of your choice on November 3rd. This message paid by the Re-elect District 27 Representative Fred Wood Committee, Steve Westfall, Treasurer. Thank you. In just a few minutes, we are going to have with us on the program a lady that I really enjoy her. She tells it like it is, and that's Karen Cataline back in the Colorado area. So stand by for that. But first and foremost, let's ride 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the world. My goodness sakes, all the side-by-sides, all the four-wheelers, showroom is jam-packed. You get over there, pick out the ones you like, absolutely, and then head for the hills. Don't forget, they've got the hours of Monday through Friday, 9 to 6, Saturdays 9 to 2, all the accessories, and, of course, a great service department to keep you running. All of this at Let's Ride, 270 Highway 24, between Rupert and the world, and it's really the truth. This is where the fun is sold. While you're over in that area, you better take care of some business to protect you, your family, and your business. And that's, of course, with our friends at Cameron and Siemens Insurance. And they're on Highway 24 in Rupert, right on the curve as you go into town. All the best of life insurance, health insurance, retirement planning, employee benefits, all of this and more by people that are really dedicated to serving you and devoted to making sure you're taken care of and that you're covered. Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. The number to call, 436-4424. That number again, 436-4424. Right now, we're going to go to the phone line, and with us on the phone line is a lady that has been on my program before. I always look forward to having her on my show, and that's Karen Cataline. Karen, how are you?
I am surviving this last 3 weeks before one of the most important elections in our lifetime, except for 2016. How are you?
Well, I'm going to put this to you this way, and I want to get your response. I said in 2016 that I thought that election was the most critical, and I was dead wrong. This one is, because I think of the elevated status and power that the left has with a socialistic/communistic viewpoint of changing America. I think this election's the most important.
Well, and I agree with you, except that if 2016 hadn't happened, we wouldn't have brought out all this evil out into the open and shine a light on it as Donald Trump has done. The only reason this is so important is because Donald Trump was elected in 2016, and one of his most important qualities is that his very presence and the way that he fights causes people to lose their mind and show us who they really are.
Okay, now right there, you made a really good point that I want you to elaborate on. You were talking about the word evil and all the evil that the left is bringing forth. My question to you is, and I get frustrated sometimes, Karen, on the show, why can't the general public see through their kind of smokescreen and understand how evil they really are?
Well, because, first off, I think there's a whole bunch of people who do, many more than we realize. I wouldn't believe the polls for a second. That's a separate discussion. But people have been enculturated in this country to be polite where you shouldn't be and not be polite where you should be. Because we've got an insurgent group that now controls the Democrat Party that clearly is engaged in turning upside down everything that America that has made America great. I didn't want to say the same slogan as Donald Trump because this precedes Donald Trump. Everything that this country has stood for, individualism versus collectivism, the family as the primary, family, God, country, personal responsibility, being accountable to something greater than yourself, but not the government. Every single one of those things the left is engaged in tearing down, along with our historical monuments, which is only symbolic of the fact that they want to tear the country down. And so people have been conditioned somehow to believe it's more impolite to call somebody on their evil than the evil itself. It's bizarre, but that's where we're at with some people. We have to defy that.
I think it goes without saying that I'm very straightforward, very blunt, and unfortunately, I'm not really too concerned about somebody's mamby-pamby feelings. I'm going to say the truth and speak the truth, and if that offends somebody, then so be it. I think that could be said of the Republican Party in general, that they've had power in the Senate, and they've had power with the Oval Office, but they haven't utilized it to make things the way they should be in this country, and they better start growing a backbone because it's almost too late forever. Would you respond to that, please?
Well, I'm not sure that it's too late forever, but I also think you might be a little bit too nice to favor that, because Donald Trump has not only exposed a really evil strain of the left, not every Democrat, but a very evil socialist, Marxist, communist strain that hates this country and wants to bring it down, but Trump's presence has also exposed the corrupt, globalist Republicans on the right. Not all of them, but there is a strain on the right that does not believe anything that they've been saying to their constituents, getting their money, their treasure, their shoe leather to support them, only to find out that they're really down deep, not dedicated to the principles they said they were, or we would have repealed Obamacare. Never mind replacing it, we would have repealed it a long time ago. But we have traitors in our midst on the right, too. That doesn't mean people aren't entitled to disagree, but there's a lot of people that are just downright disingenuous.
I can't argue with that at all. As a matter of fact, we're on the same team, we're in the same uniform. But now I'm going to kind of switch train tracks here a little bit. And your thoughts on the COVID-19, and I'll be fair with you. I'll state my position on first. I think that we as a public have been misled, misguided, and absolutely lied to about the severity of COVID-19. Your thoughts?
I agree with you 100%. Next case. I think the virus is not a hoax, but what the virus has been used to perpetrate on the American people is the greatest hoax since the last one they perpetrated. I have not seen anything honest coming out of the Democrats for years now, but now it's downright insulting. There are giant holes in their stories you could drive a truck through, and if you got me started talking about the outrageousness of masks and forcing an entire country to put a rag on their face and the psychology of what that really is all about, I wouldn't be able to do my radio show at 10 o'clock as I'm filling in for somebody. So it is. I've written loads about it. And I have a lot of people on my shows to talk about masks. Some people underestimate the evil of it. It creates obedience. It creates complete departure from individual liberty. And the notion that we can collectivize people, take away their very faces. I know it sounds extreme, but it's not. This subjugates and makes people submissive and scares them. And basically is a current action that makes you believe that your governor or your mayor can tell you what's good for you.
Yeah.
There are a lot of things that are good for me, but I don't want my political hack or the health department bureaucrats telling me. I get to make those decisions. Remember how forgive me, you see how I get going here? The language they use to support abortion is the language that they will not use to support any other liberty we have. You know, we get to be in control of our bodies. It ain't the bubonic plague, but they've tried desperately to make us think it is. And the only way we fight back is to stand up and say, no, we're not wearing a rag on our face. We are not. You do not have a constitutional right to control our very lives and to lock and put us on house arrest. That's China. That's the old Soviet Union. It ain't America.
Well, there's no question everything you said, absolutely, I go in lockstep with, and I salute you for saying it. And the proof is in the pudding. Just recently, within the last couple of days, the World Health Organization and the group called the Great Barrington Declaration, with over 8,700 health scientists and 22,000 medical practitioners, said no more lockdowns. It's causing more trouble than it's worth. So they're changing and transitioning back to normalcy because they realized they kind of, like a baby robin, they made a mess in their nest.
Yeah, but you know what's so amazing, Zeb, is that the left is going to ride the lies and that pony well past possibly Election Day. They ignore any piece of information that doesn't comport with their narrative, no matter how glaringly obvious it is. And still there are people that are buying it. I got kicked out of a laundromat yesterday because I refused to wear a mask in northern Colorado. I mean, it's insane. They have changed the culture of America, which is exactly what they want to do. And Americans do not understand. Maybe people in Idaho do. I know there's some Coeur d'Alene and some other places in Idaho understand. Is that how you pronounce it?
Coeur d'Alene, yes.
Is that there are many, many, many more of us than there are of them. We brought them to the dance. We can take them out of the dance, but we have to stand up in civil disobedience and say, you do not have a right to tell us to put a rag on our face and muzzle us.
Karen, let me ask you...
There's no evidence of that, and even if there were, it's our choice, not yours.
Absolutely. Let me ask you, in the same vein of our conversation right now, I've been very adamant on my program about churches. I don't care what the denomination is, and I'm not going to single out one denomination over another. But churches and pastors and church leaders need to stand up and say, government, stay out of our churches. You have no business being here, but nobody's standing up hardly at all and fighting back on behalf of churches.
Yes. And I have some dear friends who are lamenting about that, about the churches. Well, I've been lamenting about that in synagogues, even as we see blatant anti-Semitism in New York, done by the Democrats.
Yes.
We're all standing together. I stand with the Christians and anyone who loves religious freedom, which is the cornerstone of our country. I think what a lot of people are starting to figure out, sadly, is that the hard left Marxists, and they've been Marxists all along, have been infiltrating every aspect of our life, from sports to religion, and they've been using bribery and blackmail to turn it into government churches, government grocery stores, government sports entities. That's what we are fighting. That's why this election is so much bigger than Donald Trump, although thank God we have Donald Trump to fight, because we've never seen a Republican actually fight.
Absolutely.
In 40, 50 years, we haven't. So they have infiltrated, and that means, ironically, Zeb, the more they try to collectivize us and make us conform, the more each and every one of us individually is being called upon to stand up for freedom. Our founders pledged their lives, their fortunes, and their sacred honor. We have to pledge our sacred honor at the very least, and possibly more, to make sure there's an America for our children and grandchildren.
Amen.
I don't even have any.
Amen.
But I want there to be an America.
Amen.
When we're gone, we have a responsibility to make sure that there's a shining light of liberty.
I could not have said it any better. Karen, I want to go back a little bit to the beginning of our segment, and I want to get your thoughts. We are from yesterday 3 weeks away from the election. And all the polls that are coming out, with the exception of very few, I think one of the most honest polls is the Rasmussen poll. But irregardless of that, most of the polls are saying, oh, Biden's got this thing in the bag. It's maybe almost a double-digit lead, etc. How? Please explain to me your thoughts on what's going up to now, the last 3 weeks before November 3rd.
Well, all of us are conjecturing. That's a verb, right? I conjecture, you conjecture.
Right.
All of us are conjecturing about why we think there's such a disconnect between the polls and everything else that we're watching, from the unbelievable rallies that draw thousands of people. Well, this is deja vu all over again from 2016. The Democrats have learned nothing, mostly because they use polls to manipulate opinion, not report opinion. That's all they've ever done. That's not to say that we shouldn't campaign like he's 10 points behind, all right? Because I don't know what's going to happen. I'm not a clairvoyant. But they have not learned anything from last time. Plus, they've bullied people so badly. You're a racist if you support Donald Trump. Never mind the amazing accomplishments Donald Trump has done in 4 years, less than, and all those people who were worried about Donald Trump and took a chance on him now see what he can do. None of it adds up unless you add that they are overpolling Democrats because they want to make the case, as they had intended in 2016, that if there's a blowout, God willing, there's a blowout of a Donald Trump win, they can come back and say, see, he stole the election. These people never quit. They never stop. They never stop lying, cheating, and stealing. And so we have to just keep fighting every step of the way. That's my best guess to what's happening. But I'm watching it along with everyone else. And all we can do is hope and pray and tell every single person in our sphere of influence what the truth is, because the media is in the tank for the hard left.
Absolutely.
You're never going to get a straight story from the media. Certainly not the media that people are. If you watch CNN and nothing else, you're going to see the entire world and the country different than you and I do.
Absolutely.
So we have an obligation and a responsibility to talk to people. We can't remain silent anymore, especially not now.
Absolutely. You know, I want to end this segment by asking you one final thought, and I'll just kind of preface my remark and question to you. I think that this lady I'm going to talk about, Amy Coney Barrett, is absolutely the bright star. I mean, she is a shining light of being first class, and I think that the hearing that is investigating her, the Democrats with their pointed questions that mean nothing, I think she, without hardly saying anything, has made the Democrats look like a bunch of buffoons. Your thought?
I've been watching it, and I'm going to do a big monologue about that very thing in just a few minutes. I think she's stunning, and what I tweeted yesterday was I can see completely why so many of her students of all political persuasions loved her so much. Because she's endearing, she's plain-spoken, she's exceptionally bright, she's unpretentious, and Mazie Hirono asking her if she's ever committed sexual assault just is hilarious if it weren't so sad.
Absolutely.
Yes, she is. And isn't it sad that we conservatives, and we're not perfect, have to come up with someone so stellar as that to defend against outrageous charges, and look at what they've got. They've got a guy, Joe Biden, who doesn't even know what office he's running for half the time, and he doesn't know what city he's in half the time, and the bar is so phenomenally low for him. It's so glaring that if you love honesty and integrity, you gotta be be having heartburn every day right now.
You know, and I really appreciate you bringing up Mazie Hirono. I said about her comments earlier in my first hour of my program, that was so low class, that was so out of left field that, quite frankly, I would have wanted the security guards at the Senate hearing room to come in and take her away from her seat in front of her children, Coney Barrett's children, to ask a question that was completely unremoved from any topic they were talking about. That was completely evil and low class.
I hate to say it, but I'm glad they do stuff like this. So whomever is watching can see, you know, in no uncertain terms, the difference between people who at least try to be decent and those people who will take every opportunity to be indecent.
That's well stated. I know that you've got a radio program to get ready for on your own, and I just want to tell you it's a treat that having you back on my show. It's been a long time. I certainly hope it's not that long again. Let's try to get together more often.
I would love that. Can I give a quick plug for my website? It's been totally redone.
Absolutely.
See a whole lot more of what I'm up to on the front page.
Absolutely.
I would love to connect with people in Idaho and your listeners on Facebook and Twitter, even though we know Facebook and Twitter is awful, but we're using them anyway. KarenCataline.com. I do a lot of writing, and then you'll know where my radio stuff is happening. And it's Karen. Yes, my name is a punchline. Last name, Kataline, Cataline.com.
You're definitely a breath of fresh air, and I always look forward to having you on the program. KarenCataline.com. Karen, God bless you. Please come back soon.
Same to you, Zeb.
All right, thank you. Thank you very, very much. I love that lady. She tells it like it is, and we'll have her back, you can bet, in the future. Holy moly, time for the weather, and I'm almost on time. The weather this hour is brought to you by Phillips Oaks Goodwin Crane and Company, and they are the... Wow, did you see that if you were on camera watching on ZebBell.com? A great big couple of flies hit the microphone, bounced off, and they almost went in my mouth. Bring the fly swatter, goober. Anyway, back to our spot. Well, we still have them. Phillips Oaks Goodwin Crane and Company, and they've been providing accounting services to the Mini-Cash area for well over 50 years. They are the professionals, the best in tax return preparation, tax planning, financial statement preparation, retirement planning, all of this and more to help you, your family, and your business. And I'm talking about the best with offices in Burley and Rupert, Phillips Oaks Goodwin Crane and Company. So there we go with two flies trying to kill themselves on my microphone. Here's Gina with the weather.
Wind advisory for today, frost advisory for the next couple of evenings. Here's a look at your weather forecast. We are going to be in that wind advisory for today. Plus, there's going to be areas of patchy blowing dust, mostly sunny skies. Winds are going to be out of the west, steady at about 25 miles an hour. Gusts as high as 40 miles an hour. We are expecting a high of 56. For tonight, that wind and patchy blowing dust is going to continue, partly cloudy skies, and we're going to be in a frost advisory, low of about 32. For tomorrow, looks like mostly sunny skies with a high of 53. That wind is still going to continue, but calming down just a little bit. Still going to be in that frost advisory for tomorrow night with a low of about 29. Then by Friday, looks like sunny skies and a high of 52. That's a look at your weather for Zeb at the Rain.
Oh, Gina. Thank you very much. And the weather brought to you by Phillips Oaks Goodwin Crane and Company. And they are the professionals. You know, they can help you with maybe you're trying to start a business or change it over to a corporation or thinking about expanding your business. All of these questions and so many more, they can help you. Phillips Oaks Goodwin Crane and Company with offices at 1710 Overland in Burley and 625th Street in Rupert. The professionals, Phillips Oaks Goodwin Crane and Company. Calls are welcome. 1-866-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I'd love to visit with you. Got a little bit of time here left in this hour. And while I'm waiting for your call, my goodness, these flies came in here all of a sudden. Kamikaze, it must be their last hurrah. But that was funny during the weather. One hit the microphone from one side and one hit the microphone from the other, and they kind of just hit the table. And they were looking at each other like, woo, that wasn't fun. Anyway, I need my fly swatter. Let's not forget our friends at Patterson's Electronics. Hello, Curtis and Lorena. Hey, by the way, at Patterson's Electronics, 421 East Main in Burley, they now have dehydrated food in stock. They've got everything over there. And special on the purchases of $300 or more, 10% discount, and $600 or more, a 15% discount. You better get over there today. All your electronic needs, and now dehydrated food too at Patterson's Electronics. And of course, they're open Monday through Saturday 9 to 6. Patterson's Electronics, 421 East Main in Burley. Caller, a good morning to you.
Good morning. I just thought I'd mention to you that there is a weapon you can use against those flies. It's called a bug assault. And what it does is it uses a compressed air. You compress it when you pump it, and it shoots out pellets of salt and kills the flies dead.
Sounds like fun.
It is fun. You'll get hooked on it. The new ones cost around $55, but you can sometimes pick them up cheaper than that used. But it literally is like a shotgun at a distance of about a foot and a half.
Really?
And it just takes them out left and right. Sometimes when you get really good, you can shoot them two and three at a time.
Okay, but wait a minute. Therein lies the problem. You have never seen me shoot a gun. You have never seen me with a shotgun, a rifle, or a pistol. And may I say this, the fly population with me shooting at them is going to get bigger instead of smaller.
Why is that?
I'm a poor shot.
You don't. All you have to do is just point this in the general direction where they're at, and it spreads out the further back you go. But if you do it within a couple of feet at least, you'll still nail them. It's amazing what it does. The pattern that goes out. It's just like a shotgun. You don't have to be very accurate. You just have to be reasonably close.
Okay, well, listen, I'm going to take your advice. I'm going to go get one of those, and thank you for your call. I do appreciate that. God bless you.
YouTube.
All right.
And you'll find it up there with people using it.
I will do that. Thank you. Thank you very, very much. Wow, I've learned how I can massacre the fly population. And, I know they're coming in because it's kind of their last hurrah, but holy smokes, all of a sudden the whole studio is full of them. Yes, I took a bath. Okay, we're going to leave for the news. I'll be back in about 7 minutes. Don't go away.
Good morning. It is time now for funeral announcements brought to you by Rasmussen Wilson Funeral Home, 1350 East 16th Street in Burley, a family serving families. Sharon Quast, an 86-year-old resident of Burley, passed away at home Monday, October 12th. The funeral is pending and will be announced by Rasmussen Wilson Funeral Home. This concludes funeral announcements for today, brought to you by Rasmussen Wilson Funeral Home, 1350 East 16th Street in Burley, a family serving families.
What are some of the greatest moments in sports? For me, I think of the basketball games in my uncle's driveway when I was a kid. Looking up at my uncle to get to the basket was like staring up at a mountain. But he always kept me in the game, even when his arm would reach in the wrong direction and give me the perfect shot. He wasn't just my uncle. He was my friend. When he died, his funeral allowed me to share what he meant to me. I even brought in the basketball we played with years ago, and my trophies that I considered to be his trophies too. It was a meaningful funeral for a life worth celebrating.
On behalf of Rasmussen Wilson Funeral Home, we express our sincere appreciation to the community for the confidence placed in us to assist families in celebrating a life well lived and to honor the legacy of their loved ones. We are Rasmussen Wilson Funeral Home, located at 1350 East 16th Street in Burley, a family serving families.
And now, back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Bell.
You know, there's a gentleman back on the East Coast that's been on my program many, many times, and I always look forward to a straightforward approach to all the issues that we talk about. When I introduce him, I always say this segment's about the cowboy and the man from Beantown back in Boston, Massachusetts. Hello, Gary Goldman. How are you?
Zeb, I'm doing wonderful. How are you? And thank you for having me on today.
It's my pleasure. Gary, honestly, I consider you a friend. You've been on this program enough times. What kind of a havoc is still going on leading up to November 3rd? Everything is in complete disarray. Give us your thoughts. Tie this whole shoelace back together again, would you?
Well, it's definitely in disarray. And look, the Democratic Party is in disarray, but I think it's part of their overall plan. I mean, today we hear that they're bringing former President Obama out of mothballs to go on the road with Joe. I mean, Joe needs someone to be there with him, to at least for someone to talk and maybe answer the right questions and understand which office he's running for to begin with. You have Nancy Pelosi playing with, once trying to figure out if the president's fit to be in office. With all due respect, Seb, somebody needs to examine Nancy Pelosi to determine if her mental capacity is there, and I'm not trying to be funny. Unless this is part of some enormous plan that they have, the comments that she comes out with, this constant going after the president, is, Trump derangement syndrome gone wild, and it has to stop because she's not doing the country any good. And then just in general, you watched the debate last week with the vice president who surgically destroyed Kamala Harris. She didn't have a fighting chance, and it brought out the true colors. The bottom line is here, Zeb, they have nothing to run on. My concern is this, even though I still believe the president's going to win, and I think he's going to win with a landslide. But my concern is they're a little too calm for me for all the chaos in their camp. I still don't even know what their platform is. They really don't talk about anything. Vice President Biden hides in the basement. Now, if Vice President Biden was able to pull this election out by not campaigning, he's going to change politics forever. Sit in your basement, put a mask on, come out every once in a while for a bit of fresh air and just move on. So, I'm concerned about the mail-in ballots. I'm concerned about them trying to get this into, courts in different states, some of the Pennsylvania and maybe Florida, and I think they're hoping that we don't get the Supreme Court pick through, and, that would be their only out. But they're much too calm, Zeb, for a party that really has nothing to say. And yet the polls show them, if you believe the polls, which I don't, ahead by sometimes high singles or double digits, which is hard to fathom. It's hard to understand what's really going on here. And I think what is really going on, you asked me to pull it all together. I think the Democrats are playing a game of psychological and propaganda warfare with the American people, that constant battering that Joe's ahead, the president's horrible, the polls say he's ahead even though they know it's not. They're trying to instill that in a populace out there, but I think it may be too late for that.
Gary, I don't have to tell you because you study politics like I do, but when you look at the polls, and I look at these things with a real furrow in my brow because I don't understand how Biden in some states could be up as much as double digits, and then you see what happened the other afternoon in Toledo, Ohio, where Biden is standing up at a podium and there's like 6 or 7 people there, and the 6 or 7 people started chanting for Trump 4 more years at a Biden rally, and then conversely at a rally the other night in Florida, droves of thousands upon thousands of people go out to see President Trump, and then you see the polls. What's going on here?
It's the same as 2016. Again, it's that psychological propaganda warfare. If we can make the American people believe that Biden's ahead, maybe those who haven't, made up their mind yet, though the stats show that most people have made up their mind, maybe they'll go for Biden. It's just propaganda, Zeb, because, look, a lot of people aren't honestly telling pollsters who they're voting for. They're afraid, or they just want to throw them off. But this is pure propaganda, Zeb. There's no doubt in my mind. Trump rally, Biden event, I won't even call it a rally, it's like night and day. And look at blacks, Latino, Hispanics, they're all pushing for the president. What the president has done for many groups in this country in 3 to 4 years, politicians haven't done in 50 years. The American people are not going to give away what they had pre-COVID. And we'll get this thing turned around with COVID. We'll definitely get this, because the fear-mongering among the blue state governors and mayors is going to come to an end sooner or later. But they're not going to give up their real hopes and dreams that President Trump was giving them, jobs and a better life. Because let's face it, what do American people want? They don't mind working hard, but they want to be able to do the things they want to do. They want to dream about things, and they want those dreams to turn into reality. They will have that reality under a President Trump. They will never have it under President Biden and Vice President Harris.
Let me ask you this, Gary, and I know you're going to give us an honest appraisal, but when you saw the first debate with Trump versus Biden, it turned into kind of a street brawl. All they needed was some tire irons. And then the second debate between Harris and Pence was much more subdued and more poignant. How would you rank both, and how did they affect their partisanship?
Look, I think the first debate, I think the president, as soon as he got out there and he understood what was happening with the moderator, and who was, let's face it, Wallace was one, he was working on behalf of Biden that night. There's no doubt about it. He got frustrated and got, angry at times, and Joe wouldn't answer questions. He wanted to get his point across. They wouldn't give the president the time to get his answers out there. But I think if we learned anything, the president should follow the template that Vice President Pence used. He was cordial. He was appreciative of everything. But at the same time, when he didn't have the time to answer a question, Zeb, when they went to the next question, he'd go back to that original question that he didn't have time to answer, even though the moderator would say, no, I want to move forward. And that just threw those people for a loop, because he was able to get his point across. And like I said earlier, surgically dissect Harris and the Democratic Party. So if the president does get to a third debate, and I think we really need a second debate, which is debate number 3, I would like to see that happen. He should follow the vice president's template. And the other point is, why aren't we seeing more of Vice President Pence out there on the campaign trail? Because he obviously has the ability to do that, and even more important, he had the facts set. He had the facts, and that killed Harris in her spot. He had the facts to many of the lies that she was throwing out there.
I totally agree with you, and I want to throw something else in on Kamala Harris. I noticed that the smugness, the arrogance, and the holier-than-thou attitude showed forth from her personality, especially, and she has a knack for doing this, Gary. She pauses when you think she's done with a sentence or a phrase. She pauses, waits for you to respond, and then jumps all over people, and she did this to Amy Coney Barrett, too. I'm speaking, leave me alone, I'm speaking. That's the kind of attitude that absolutely I think is going to hurt her.
Well, it reminded me of a 12-year-old with the faces out at a school, high school person running for office.
Yes.
Or junior high. But look, that did not do her any good. But she did that through the Democratic primary, that debate process. And where did it get her, Zeb? It didn't even get her to one, election, primary election. That facial stuff does not work. The American people are beyond the facials. The American people were looking for answers to questions in that vice president debate based on what they saw in the first debate. A lot of people who knew it, they want answers. They have serious questions to a lot of issues, and they want answers. And I think what she did, the American people didn't react well to it at all.
I'm going to say this, Gary, and I want to get your response, but after watching 2 days of the hearings with Amy Coney Barrett and the Democrats, I honestly am convinced that when they chose for their logo, the Democrats, years ago, the portrayal of the logo of a jackass, it really showed forth yesterday because they brayed like jackasses all day long.
Yeah, look at, she was poised, confident, disciplined. She's brilliant, which drives them absolutely insane. And she was frustrating those that oppose her. There's no doubt about it. And the way they acted yesterday was childish. You know what they want her to do? They want her to tell them what her position is going to be on any single issue that they want an answer to. That's not how it works, as she told them. That's just not how this works, and she's never going to do it. They have nothing, Zeb, and they know that, and they know she's going to get, she's going to be put in as a justice. The confirmation will go through, and they're frustrated over it. They're trying to play every angle. The bit with the Affordable Health Care Act, she's not running for a health czar. She's not running to take over the World Health Organization or Dr. Fauci's position. They're way out of line with their questions, and they know that, but they're going to continue to do it. Look, they know they can't do to her what they did to Kavanaugh. One, because she's a woman, and two, she's squeaky clean. And Kavanaugh is as real as they come too, but she is real, and she's focused, and she has straight and honest answers for them. I love when they asked her what was on her pad, and she pulled it up, and there was nothing on the pad, or maybe a question she had written down. But they think like she has cheat notes on a piece of paper in front of her. That's the way they operate, so they think everyone else operates that way.
Yeah, but Gary, and caller, standby caller, I'll get to you in just a second. Gary, quickly, where did the absolutely brain-dead question from Mazie Hirano of Hawaii come from when all of a sudden, out of the blue, she looked at Amy Barrett and she said, have you ever been arrested or threatened with charges about being a sexual predator? Where did that come from?
But that is in their that's their modus of operandi. Part of that is that let's just throw something outrageous out there to see what we can draw with the thought process of the American people. They lost that ability after the Kavanaugh hearings, and especially with this particular candidate. And look, she handles every question well, and just her tone and her calmness. I know you can see it on their faces that it's driving them crazy. Never mind, the fact, like I said, she's brilliant, and she's well prepared for this hearing, and they're not going to beat her down.
Absolutely. We have a caller with a question. Caller, quickly, you're on the air, please.
Well, quickly, Hirono might be the dumbest senator there is, just quickly. And then secondly, in 2008, when Obama was really pulling some crowds, and he was, and, they treated him like he was a god. He got to thinking he was. But they did, now that Trump has always pulls crowds, huge ones, they think it doesn't matter, but in 2008, it did matter. I'll hang up.
Respond to the caller, Gary, please.
Yeah, Zeb, it's true. Anything the president does doesn't matter. The difference, here's the difference between the crowds. Obama was hope and change, and we saw what that got, what that did for the country. Okay, we're hoping now it all changes. President Trump comes out with specific agendas, specific items that he talks about, things that he wants to improve in this country. And the big difference after 4 years in office, he keeps his promises. He may not have finished everything, but he definitely went after everything, and he's still working on it. He doesn't just kick the can down the road. If they say no, he works a different angle to get the end result, and that's the big difference. Obama would just get up there, and he still does it. He talks and he talks and he talks, and there's really no conclusion to what he's saying because it's meaningless, his conversation. And I think they ought to bring Michelle Obama out on the campaign trail after what she said this week about Black Lives Matter. That if anyone disagrees with the violence of this organization, you're a racist. Let her say that a few times around this country and see what that gains for the Joe Biden campaign.
Absolutely. Gary, I want to go back to, and we've talked about this in past programs, COVID-19 and the devastation it's taken on our economy and the people, their lives, their businesses. What's the general feeling back there on the East Coast, especially in the Boston area? I can tell you this, people here have had enough. What are your thoughts?
Yeah. Look, at the people here have had enough. We're still in the city of Boston. We're still in quote unquote semi-lockdown. The mayor, we've had a spike in cases. Not to be, it was expected. So we have a lot of businesses that haven't still opened. A lot of types of industry, especially the entertainment. Then you have a lot of businesses that have opened, but there's not a lot of peripheral businesses, like people aren't in offices. So restaurants, any type of store in the area is not going to do well. Look, you're in a very liberal state here, Massachusetts. They're willing to give up some of their liberties more so than their conservative neighbors here in the state. But people are getting frustrated. People have had enough. Zeb, this is outrageous what is going on. If you take, that 70,000 people or 70 million, I forgot the exact million people that they say had COVID. And if you use a multiplier, because we all know it's really more than that, they're not giving us the true facts, that death rate goes down to just about nothing. Not that any death isn't an issue. We don't want to see anybody die. But we know the portion of the population that we have to protect. This is going to continue, Zeb, until after the election, and then hopefully, we'll start moving forward. Because a couple of things. The spike is look, everyone said we're going to have a spike in the fall. It wasn't because they had some crystal ball. They knew college kids were going to come back. The population centers in some of these cities were going to grow. But look at what they've done to a city like New York City, Zeb. They're going to bankrupt the city.
Yeah.
Restaurants, stores, and this can't go on. So the American people are the only ones that can change this, Zeb, and they change this by demanding that their government officials start opening this stuff up and not voting for these people next time around. I'm a positive, half-full type of guy, but unfortunately I don't think we've seen the back end of COVID, meaning the destruction to the economy and small business in this country.
I totally agree. Gary, one final thought, and this is speculation on my point, but is the possible political October surprise going to go against Biden with the news that came out about Hunter Biden had actually introduced Joe to one of the executives of Burisma Oil, and Joe had lied about that? What do you think?
Well, I think that's a very big issue, but the only problem is if the mainstream media doesn't want to get behind it and they don't want to put it out there to the degree that it should be out there, they're going to try and let it, sort of slide away as we go through October. Look, at what would have even been better, Zeb, is if A.G. Barr came out with some indictments. And I know people say he shouldn't do that. It's close to the election. There are some guilty people out there that should have been indicted already. That would have been the October surprise that we're not going to have. I don't think we're going to see the media get behind anything, or they're going to minimize whatever is out there that may hurt Joe Biden.
Gary, I wished I had more time. You are excellent. A political analyst and an author of the book My Big Mouth and the Ugly Truth, Taking the Stress Out of Opinions versus Fact. A dear friend, Gary Goldman. God bless you, man. Come back soon.
God bless you. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you, sir. Just enjoy having him on. He's a straight shooter from back in Beantown, Boston, Massachusetts. Thank you, Gary Goldman. Wow. Let's get some stuff out of the way here. I'm running a little bit late, as you probably could tell. I want to remind you about a great place to go eat. I'm so hungry right now. Man, I think I'll jump in the truck and head for Edith's Cafe. Good food. Good food. Nice people. Great service. Yes. Where is it located? 144 East Highway 81 in Burley, right across from the golf course. And I'm telling you what, they've got a lot of parking, and of course they have catering services, and they've got just plenty of room for you, your friends and neighbors and families to come on by and enjoy some great eating at Edith's Cafe. They're open Tuesday through Thursday, 11 to 8, Fridays and Saturdays, 11 to 9, and they say, y'all come on in. We're ready to serve you with the best of sandwiches all the way to steak dinners at Edith's Cafe, 144 East Highway 81 in Burley. Speaking of the weather, I think right now we'll jump to the weather, and the weather is brought to you by Scarro's Meats. And Don Scarrow and the crew are located at 331 North Road in Jerome. The number to call, 324-7657. Or you can go to their website, scarrowsmeats.com, and you can check out all the delicious meats. I mean, now, let's face it, we're at mid-October, and pretty quick we're going to be thinking about Thanksgiving, and pretty quick we're going to be thinking about Christmas and all the families getting together and everything, the turkeys and the hams and the tri-tips and all the bacons and the sausages. Oh, they've got it all at Scarro's Meats. So remember the number, 324-7657, and they're located at 331 North Road, Jerome, Scarro's Meats. And right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Wind advisory for today, frost advisory for the next couple of evenings. Here's a look at your weather forecast. We are going to be in that wind advisory for today. Plus, there's going to be areas of patchy blowing dust, mostly sunny skies. Winds are going to be out of the west, steady at about 25 miles an hour. Gusts as high as 40 miles an hour. We are expecting a high of 56. For tonight, that wind and patchy blowing dust is going to continue, partly cloudy skies, and we're going to be in a frost advisory, low of about 32. For tomorrow, looks like mostly sunny skies with a high of 53. That wind is still going to continue, but calming down just a little bit. Still going to be in that frost advisory for tomorrow night with a low of about 29. Then by Friday, looks like sunny skies and a high of 52. That's a look at your weather for Zebeth Ray.
I appreciate it, Gina. Thank you very much. And the weather brought to you by our friends. And that's Don Scarrow and his excellent staff at Scarro's Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. Again, that telephone number, 324-7657. All the great meats from Scarro's Meats, changing the way we eat one delicious bite at a time. Wow, what is going on tomorrow? Oh, I wanted to remind you that as far as I know, everything is still A-OK, and we're going to have at 10:30 tomorrow on the program our call to Governor Brad Little. There's a lot of things I want to talk about the COVID. I want to talk about the lockdowns. I want to talk about stage 4. I'm going to talk about this is enough. I've had many, many people say enough is enough. And when you have the World Health Organization and others connected to medical science, like the over 22,000 medical practitioners saying that lockdowns have done more harm than they've ever done any good, it's time to change the modus operandi. And we're going to have Governor Brad Little on the program tomorrow at 10:30. I want to remind you, too, that our major sponsor, we are really, really fortunate to have all 7 of the Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers as our major sponsor. I mean, they do a phenomenal job. Now, a lot of you folks, maybe you don't realize that they've got those great big service trucks that can run out and help you in the field during harvest or on the farm, the dairy, etc. They are there to serve you. And you know they've got all the tires. You know they've got the best in brake service, front end alignment, shocks and struts, and batteries. And I want to say, you just heard Gina a moment ago on the weather forecast saying we're going to get down in the low 30s. Well, then we're going to have days to where she's going to be saying we're going to get down in the low 20s. You better make sure that you've got a good battery, a battery that's going to get the job done for you. And if not, you don't want to go out there in the morning and turn the key and get click, 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 click. No, check your battery, and they've got all the best of batteries at all 7 locations of your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. James in Buell, Dan on Pole Line in Twin Falls, Lane and Rupert, Mike and Jerome, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, the Twist family in Paul, and my buddy Trent on Overland in Burley. Nobody does it better than your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Absolutely the best. Okay, that's about ready to wrap it up and put it back in the box for me today. And I'm looking forward to tomorrow. We got some great guests coming on besides the governor. And we'll have also the chamber report with Penny Main and our Cassia County school days, our business salute. Boy, Thursdays are a busy, busy day right here on Zeb at the Ranch. And above all, we appreciate all your phone calls. And if you ever want to get a hold of me and talk about any segments or anything else, just give me a call on my cell phone at 312-2976. That number again, 312-2976. That's it. We're going to put it back in the box for today. The way things were are the way things ought to be. And, of course, the 4 words that mean the most to me, in God we trust. We'll be back here tomorrow morning at 8:06. Thanks, Sean, for all you do over there. And we'll see you tomorrow morning. God bless.